Okay. Believe it or not, this is actually the second time that I am recording this video. The first time that I did, it was on my camera so that it would be, like high res. Anyway, for those of you who are new to my channel, hi, my name is Jillian and I am a professional musical theater actor in the Philippines. A month ago or 2 months ago, as usual, I'm doing this late because life is happening. I actually put out a question on my Instagram because a lot of people have actually been asking me performance-related questions. So I decided to just put out a question box so I can answer all of it in one video. So this video will be about me sharing my personal experiences. So I feel like my take will be a little bit more different. My intention is to give you guys a glimpse of what goes on in the Philippine musical theater industry as a professional working actor. All of this stuff that I'm going to be sharing today are things and practices that we did before the pandemic happened. Without further ado, let's get to your questions. So it's theater Q&A for the thumbnail. Theater versus theater. Spelling? There is actually no right or wrong answer. It actually depends on where you are. So for the Brits or the Aussies, it's really RE. In the States, it's really ER. Dito sa Pilipinas, parang wala naman pakialam yung mga tao. What age did you start doing theater? As a kid, I've always been singing, dancing, making up my own concerts and talk shows inside my room. My parents thought there was something wrong with me. I have been performing for as long as I can remember, and I have always been encouraged to do so by my school. Shout out to Absorbent Mind Montessori and Assumption Iloilo. But it wasn't until college that I decided to try out for local productions, and it wasn't until I had an actual job in Manila that I thought of doing it as a career. Professional theater, I started doing it in my early 20s. Did you do workshops when you were young? I probably forced Susan to book me all of these lessons: singing, dancing, art, French lessons, as early as I was 5 years old. So I was already exposed to learning the basics of performance. There were no proper theater or musical theater workshops. So it was only when I moved to Manila that I was able to do a proper formal musical theater workshop. And I continued doing it even abroad. So I really took all of the workshops that I could afford just to train. What made you decide to do theater? My exposure to theater was mainly in school, and I really enjoyed it. Growing up in Iloilo, even having it as a career never crossed my mind. I just thought like people are doing it for fun, I guess. I never remember it being offered as an option for university or for college. So I love to watch all of these VHS tapes and these VCDs and DVDs of musical theater shows, and I just loved it. It was when I moved here and got cast in my first professional show that was the turning point. I always thought I was too inexperienced, or I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't that talented, but I got cast. So I thought to myself, maybe I do have what it takes to be in this industry. I went on more auditions, I trained some more, and that was history. What does your family think about your career? My parents are super chill about me performing. Na minsan nakaka-offend na kasi like, at one point I was asking myself, like, do they even care? But yes, they do. They're just super low-key about it. I actually took a business course in college, and I worked in my first job. It was somehow connected to performing na semi-corporate. Like any concerned parent, of course, they were worried about how I was going to support myself financially. So I thought, as the eldest child and a chronic parent pleaser, self-confessed, how do I make my parents worry less about this thing that I got myself into? The first year that I was doing it full-time, I actually had a notebook and a file folder where I put in all of the receipts and where I listed down all of the income that I got from the multiple performance jobs that I did. I constantly updated them what I was doing as well, so that they didn't think that I was doing anything shady. And at the end of the year, I divided everything by 12. I presented, nerd alert, a keynote to my parents showing them the average of how much I earn, in a way that really gave them some sense of comfort, and it led them to trust my decisions more. If you have parents who worry, ask for their support. Showing them a concrete plan of what you want to do in the future might help them ease their worries a little bit. Do you need an agent to get casted in the Philippines? For open call auditions, no. You are free to walk in, but a piece of advice: what helps get your foot in the door of the Philippine theater industry is take workshops. In those workshops, especially if they're under theater companies, you will be seen by those instructors, and they will know how you work, what your skill set is, how talented you are, and these people can vouch for you. Aside from developing your skills, you also get to build a network of people, so joining workshops are the way to go. What is the usual flow of an audition? Theater companies will announce maybe like a month or a few weeks before an audition date the requirements that are needed. You might be asked to pre-register, so you might be like asked to fill out a form online or email some requirements, but most of the time you can just go into the audition venue, get an application form, fill that out, then you're going to be asked to submit the usual requirements: headshots, resume, sheet music, or your -1. Sometimes you're gonna be asked to give a monologue. Once you're there, all you have to do is wait. Actually, mas matagal pa yung wait than the actual audition. Go in the room, sing in front of a panel, give your monologue, and if they like you, you're going to be asked to come back. So that's what we call a callback. You might be asked to sing specific songs of the show, say specific lines, and if it's a dance-heavy show, you might be asked to do what we call a dance callback. They might call you back some more to narrow down some choices for certain roles. Once the callback is done, all you have to do is to wait in agony, refreshing your emails every 2 minutes to see if you made it or not. Practical must-haves for auditions. Ooh, I love this question. Usually you're there for like half a day at the very least, so you always have to be prepared. What I like to have in my audition bag is water. Sometimes I even have 2 of these because, again, it's a long wait and I don't want to buy bottled water, or sometimes you're like scrambling to look for bottled water. Bring your own na lang. Bring some sort of throat lubricant. So it could be honey, it could be a Sour Patch candy to produce more saliva. That's a thing. Or more popularly nowadays, I see that people bring their Lola Remedios or their Tolak Angin. Sometimes the room is very dry and you want your throat to be ready for when you step inside that audition room. Sometimes you don't know what the temperature of the audition venue is. So you will also want to bring a scarf or a jacket. And I also like to keep like a mini fan inside my bag because sometimes it's super mainit naman. You never know if they're going to call you for a dance callback in the afternoon. Sometimes it's not specified. So I like to bring extra dance clothes with the proper dance shoes. I also like to have a grooming kit. It could be a small pouch with like a comb, some powder, you know, like you're there at 7 in the morning, nakapila. When it's your turn to audition, it's 2 p.m. na. So that really happens. And sometimes you go to the mirror and you see how stressed you look. So I always like to bring an extra grooming kit to make sure that I look presentable when I go inside the audition room. I like to have extra copies of my resume, my headshots, my sheet music. I like to keep those on hand just in case. Bring your own pen. It says a lot if you bring your own pen. It says that, oh look, I'm prepared. I always like to have a medicine kit on me. I am basically the human pharmacy. Antihistamine, I got it. Paracetamol, I got it. Especially for girls, oh my gosh, when you have like dysmenorrhea, you're gonna need that. And more importantly, snacks. You never know, again, how long you're going to be there. The last thing that you want to happen is be shaky and not have enough energy when it's your turn to go inside the audition room, or worse, for a dance callback. Audition, rehearsal, the actual show, snacks are my savior. Tips for auditions, like the specifics aside from preparedness. Tape your sheet music properly. If you don't want the pianist to hate you, it's also going to help the pianist play your piece much better. Let me know if you guys want me to give you like a tutorial. Don't be loud while waiting in line. There's always that one girl who's belting loudly in the corner, or that one guy who's Mr. Congeniality. I mean, that's great, but sometimes when people are like focusing and trying to calm their nerves or remembering how to do their audition, keep your voice low, focus on the audition rather than disturbing the people around you. An audition, it's just a few minutes that's given to you to make an impression. So make a dang good impression in the time given to you. Ano usually yung qualities na hinahanap ng mga nagka-cast sa isang play? Depende sa show. Every show needs to have the right fit of people. Aside from skill or talent, you could be the best singer in the room. But if they're calling for certain types of people, like a certain height or a certain look, like they need Asian-looking girls to play Asians, it's not personal. They are simply looking for the right fit, the right vocal type, or the right range. They will most certainly ask people in the industry if you have a good attitude about working and if you're professional at all times. How to prep for auditions, especially in choosing a song. My specialty. Do your research on the show. I've seen some people, we'd be auditioning for a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, but they will be singing songs from Hamilton. So if you are auditioning for a classical musical, look for a song that comes from a classical musical. If you're auditioning for something more contemporary, look for songs that match that genre. There are also some musicals that are by decades. So for example, for Beautiful, look for a 1960s type song. There are also some shows you're not sure what the material is because it's original, but usually they will give you clues in the audition prompt. So always do your research and match your materials for your audition. How can theater help you in everyday life? Ooh, that's a nice question. I always encourage people, especially kids, to try theater out once in their life because they can pick up so many awesome skills that they can carry beyond the theater. They can carry it in their work, in life. So you get to pick up awesome skills like discipline, working as a team, listening before responding, stuff like clarity in speaking or body language, confidence, or following your gut instincts. You know how in theater the villain always has this musical number telling people about why they are the way they are? I see people as people with backstories. In turn, you get to be more compassionate, more empathetic. Ooh, juicy question. Can I quit my day job and do theater for the rest of my life? Let me share a hot take here. I hear a lot of stuff like, oh, passion will see you through. Do work that you like. You won't have to work a day in your life. That's not true all the time. There are a lot of factors to consider, sis. To ask yourself these 4 important questions. Number 1, do I have the basic skill level and can it be developed further? If you are tone deaf, if you have the dance talent of a tap dancing drunken elephant, of course you're gonna have a hard time in this career. What I would advise for you to do is take lessons and get a coach or a teacher to give you honest feedback about your skill level. I actually know a lot of people who started out as beginners, but with the right instruction, with the right practice, they were able to go from, oh no, I can't sing, to someone who actually has very good vocal technique. Same thing for singers who can't dance, aka me. Of course, taking a dance class is scary, but it's necessary. So look at your skill level if kakayanin ba siya at a professional setting. Number 2, am I willing to go through the hard road of auditioning? Real talk, you have to be okay with the fact that there will be a lot of rejection. Sometimes you get cast in all of the shows in one season. Sometimes you don't get cast in any of them. That has personally happened to me. It will be difficult and you will be hard on yourself for a very long time. But understanding how casting works will help you deal with it better. So ask yourself, can I deal with that? Because some people can, some people can't. Number 3, are there opportunities around me? I grew up in Iloilo, and if I stayed there, if I wanted to pursue a performance career, walang mangyayari. You might have to travel often or you might have to completely move depending on where you are and the opportunities there. You also have to see if you have easy access to information, you have the network, or you have friends who will inform you about these auditions. Number 4, do I have the privilege of living on an irregular income? Due to the nature of the industry, you will only be employed for a gig or a few weeks, months. If you have the privilege of living with your parents or not having to spend so much on rent or your groceries, then I'm so happy for you. I personally made sure that I had savings just in case I was not employed. My circumstance was I lived alone. I didn't have anyone helping me financially. So I really needed that income to sustain myself in order for me to do theater in the long run. Ask yourself at the end of the day if you have the means to survive an industry wherein income is very, very irregular. That being said, please do not quit school or your job if you have no answers to those 4 important questions that I just shared. What encouraged you to make the leap into doing theater full-time despite the financial qualms? I'm not gonna lie and say that, oh, I just followed my heart. I am here to give you real-life advice. I made calculated risks. Before I did it full-time, I actually had savings from my previous job. So that was a really big help in helping me survive those weeks or even months of not having income. I knew I had to take different kinds of jobs, character performer. I had to do commercials, voiceovers, I had to teach. I had to sell random stuff like sunglasses. So you need to be able to have money to survive long bouts of no income. I only took the leap full-time only when I was secure with my finances and I had the right opportunities. Tips on pursuing theater if I did not take it as my college course. I also joined it with, can you still be accepted in auditions if you didn't take up theater? Yes! I noticed that the best actors actually have a very diverse background. They are usually well-rounded people with a life outside of the industry. The way I see it, you have a different perspective. When it's the time for you to play a certain role, you actually know how to do it because you know what it's like. It's actually great for your craft to come from a different background. One big however. If you do not take a musical theater course, it's still very crucial that you immerse yourself in that world. Keep training. Take voice lessons, join the dance troupe in school, or take acting workshops in your free time. Consume great movies, watch good shows, listen to awesome music. Don't stop learning. Taking a theater course is a great foundation, but it is not necessary here in the Philippines. Bawal ba sa theater ang mahiyain? So, marami din naman introverted na actors. I have a lot of coworkers who are very different from their on-stage persona. But you have to leave your shyness out the door when you are in the rehearsal room or when you are doing a show, because that shyness will prevent you from giving a good and truthful performance. Theater arts or film, any suggestions po? I don't know if it's a smart move. I joined it with, I badly want to take a theater arts course but I'm still confused. I cannot dictate to you what course to take because at the end of the day, it's what you're interested in and what you have the aptitude for. I just want you to ask yourself why you want to take a certain course and what are your opportunities. One preconceived notion is that when you take a theater or acting course na performance lang talaga yung outcome. There are so many other exciting jobs in that career. You can work behind the scenes, you can work in production. So there are a lot of jobs that don't entail performance only. Is height a big Is height a big factor for getting certain roles even if you can act like a BAMF? I had to Google what BAMF is. Unless it's comedy casting or creative casting, your height is considered for certain roles. Also matters sometimes sa pairing of certain people. Like for example, if love team kayo, if ganito yung itsura nyo on stage, joke time siya. Unless it's intended to look like that. You guys need to to look a certain way on stage. So height does matter. What is too late for an actor? Ooh, juicy. There are a lot of very specific time constraints in some people's goal. If your dream was to play Wendla in Spring Awakening, but you're 40 years old na, unless you look really, really young. But you can do it at any age. Let me just share this super quick story. I rode home with Tita Sheila Francisco, and she actually told me that she had a career in the advertising industry. And it wasn't until later on in life that she tried out acting. She went to the National Theatre in the UK, and she's one of the best actors. Even for me, I thought that starting in my 20s was already quite late because all of my other colleagues started when they were 12. It's never too late to start training and pursuing a dream. And you should also not forget that there are a lot of roles for different ages. How do you handle expectations in performing? This in the context of an audience expectation? I think one of the biggest mistakes that an actor can do is to obsess over the audience reaction. Will they like my performance? Will they tag me in social media after the show? Will I get a good review? That is the wrong thing to prioritize. If you know you worked your butt off at rehearsal, if you know that you were able to tell the story the best you could and you had fun doing it, people's expectations should not put unnecessary pressure on you. Do you believe in the starving actor lifestyle? I believe in working smart, not just hard. There's a difference. Is it worth it to do 2 shows at the same time and commuting from one end of the city to another every day? Not only are you physically and mentally exhausted, are you even sure that the rehearsal fees for both productions are going to pay for your transportation and food? While some may be privileged to do this, like baka may driver siya o siya na, others might not have that privilege. Always check the pros and the cons. Also depends on your priorities. I remember asking a mentor, I was choosing between being cast as an ensemble in a company that paid really well or being cast as the lead in a different company but didn't pay that much. But I was starting out in the industry. What the person advised was take the chance to do the lead role because it will help boost your resume. I did not earn that much, but it helped me in the long run. Another way that I survive is I look for all kinds of work when I know that I'm going to be rehearsing for a show. Rehearsing for a show, you block off 1 to 2 months of your life and all you get is a rehearsal fee. Do something that fulfills both your financial and fulfillment needs. You can diversify your skill sets. You could be a stage manager, an usher. I know a lot of dancers or theater actors who are fitness instructors. Having more than one job does not make you any less of an actor. At the end of the day, you have to remember that you have to eat, pay bills, occasionally treat yourself. Wag naman yung punong-puno yung puso mo pero yung bulsa mo walang-wala din. Find that balance. I do not believe in the starving actor lifestyle. I'm sorry, I have to buy my skincare products. Are there offerings for theater classes for people who want to take it up as a hobby or distress? Big fat yes! There are a lot of theater companies that offer classes. If you guys know of any, please leave them in the comments below. So it's very, very fun to just join a class. Theater is such a great way to keep yourself active, creative. Hindi naman kailangan na gusto mo maging artista to join a theater workshop. So anyway, that is it. I tried to answer all of them in the most straightforward way possible. So by now, some of you might be like, oh my God, Jill, why did you tell me all of these things? Now I'm more anxious than before. But I firmly believe in knowing what you have to be prepared for rather than just going blindly into it. I know a lot of people who give advice na like, kaya mo yan, just follow your dream, follow your heart. But if you don't give them concrete advice on what to do, then they're not going to succeed. And I want you guys to succeed. I want to be able to share the stage with you. Keep practicing, keep learning, keep being an eternal student. Thank you so much. I am rooting for you guys. I hope that this pandemic ends soon so that we can see each other. And I hope to see you guys soon.